Hello children, this video is a continuation of our previous classes, and this is more importantly for those students who could not attend the class in the morning due to network fluctuation. So I earnestly hope that you will watch this video and gain something out of it. So now we shall begin. We'll do from line 110, Prospero's speech. To have no screen between the spot he played and him he played it for. He needs will be absolute Milan. He played is Antonio. Antonio played the role of an officiating duke. He played it for is Prospero, the real Duke of Milan. So, Antonio wanted to bridge the gap between the officiating king and the real king. He needs will be absolute Milan. For this, he wanted Milan to be absolutely his, absolutely under his control. Me, poor man, he considers himself as a poor man because he trusted Antonio blindfoldedly. My library was dukedom large enough. Obviously, we know that he is a scholar and he liked to spend time reading books and he liked to spend time in pursuit of knowledge and wisdom. Alright? So, to him, his books were more important than his dukedom, than the administration and management of his state. And this is, I think, it is one of the major mistakes that he has made. He has put himself in trouble. Okay? This is how he has given to this, this way Antonio has, it is obvious for Antonio to become power hungry because Antonio gets enough opportunity. He sees that his brother is weak. He sees that his brother is disinterested. So, he definitely tries to grab this opportunity. So, in some way, he does accept his fault. Underline this, my library was dukedom large enough. Of temporal royalties, he thinks me now incapable. That means, when he was disinterested in his state, okay, when he left, when he entrusted the responsibility to Antonio, and when his people grew stranger to him, when he grew stranger to his state and his people, Antonio started to believe that he was very weak, that he had grown weak and he did not have the power to govern the state. Okay, Prospero became very weak in front of Antonio's eyes. Okay. Confederates, so dry he was for sway. Okay, he gave way to ambition. He was lured by temporal power. He was so swayed. He was so moved by temporal power and position that with King of Naples to give him annual tribute to do homage, that he was ready to give and pay an annual tribute to the King of Naples as a mark of respect. All these things Prospero had never done in his reign. Alright, so you must remember the other points also. So what are the other things that he did? Subject his coronate to his crown. Coronate refers to a small crown. So the second thing that he did was, he accepted to be, he accepted the position of subordination in front of the King of Naples. He accepted to be a subordinate. He accepted to be a smaller crown in comparison to the King of Naples. Okay, he accepted himself to be controlled by King of Naples. Prospero was the number one king. He was the number one duke. That is why they had become arch nemesis. That is why they had become staunch enemies. But Alonso, he actually tried to tie all loose ends. All these were loose ends for Antonio, because he was seeking revenge. I mean, he was just seeking an opportunity to become the real duke. Okay, so what did he do was, he was not only ready to pay an annual tribute as a mark of respect to the King of Naples, he was also ready to accept the position of subordination before King Alonso. And number 3, he was ready to bring Naples, or to put Naples, to bend Milan, to bend the dukedom of Milan before Naples. That means he was ready to allow Naples to be controlled by an external governance. Okay, he was ready to allow Naples, he was ready to allow Milan to come under Naples. The supreme authority would be the King of Naples, Alonso, and Milan would also be one of the states that would come under that. Prospero had never allowed this to happen, but here he has completely ruined it. He has completely foiled it. Okay, so by doing all this, he was successful in getting the title of a duke. These 3 points are very important. And bend the dukedom yet unbowed. This duke, it was never bowed. Prospero had never bowed before them. Prospero had never bowed before the King of Naples. He was never a subordinate. He never let his dukedom, or he never let his kingdom be subordinate to the King of, to the Naples. He never allowed his dukedom to come under Naples. Alas, poor Milan. Now he feels sad for the unfortunate people of Milan, who had never suffered such humiliation, who had never disgraced, okay, who would never disgrace themselves by becoming subservient to the external forces, to the external governance. Now it's an external governance, of course, because the King of Naples is completely different. It's a completely different state, whereas Milan is a completely different state. So bending the dukedom, or bending Milan before Naples, means trying to come under the overall control of King Alonso. That is why he feels very sad for people of Milan. To the most ignoble stooping, he degraded himself. He stooped himself to the lowest level. Okay, ignoble means low grade. Stooping is low character, not noble. Miranda, oh the heavens! She expresses great surprise, and to which Prospero says, mark his condition and then the event. Then tell me if this might be a brother. Now, think of the situation, think of the agreement that he made with the King of Naples, and tell him that if he is worthy to be called a brother, if he can be called as an honest man. Tell me that. And then to which Miranda said, I should sin to think but nobly of my grandmother. Good wombs have borne bad sons. She says that it would be a sin if I said that my grandmother was an impious woman. Okay, if I said that my grandmother had born him, or had given birth to him through her relationship, through her union with some other man. Okay, it would be very bad, sinful of me to think that about my grandmother, to consider that she had a union with some other man while that is why she gave birth to Antonio. That's how Antonio was born. I cannot say that. It would be a sin. But all I can say is that good women give birth to bad sons. That means it's the same womb that has given birth to 2 people. Okay, the brothers, Prospero and Antonio, but it is the same womb that has brought, that has given birth to contradictory people with contradictory natures. One is very generous, one is very humble, very nice and very loyal, but the other one is very treacherous and a traitor. That is what she says. It will be impious, it will be very it will be sinful if I say that my grandmother was dishonest. Okay, if I say that Antonio was born from another father, I wouldn't want to say that. But all I can say is that good women do give birth to bad sons. Prospero. Now the condition. This king of Naples being an enemy. Remember that king of Naples and Prospero are staunch enemies. Okay, and because of the same reasons, because he did not allow himself to be a subordinate, he did not bend Milan under Naples. The other thing is he did not accept to pay the annual tribute to King Alonso to mark respect, as a mark of respect. So because of these reasons, they had become enemies. Okay, to me, inveterate hearkens my brother's suit, which was he in lieu of the premises of homage. I know not how much tribute should presently extirpate me and mine out of dukedom and confer Milan with all the honors on my brother. So he says that I do not know how much my brother Antonio promised to pay him as an annual subsidiary, as an annual tribute. I do not know about that. But I know that, okay, but I know that he made use of our enmity. He made use of the situation. Okay, but he promised him an annual tribute. Okay, and in return for this, what did the king of Naples give? The king of Naples stole the title from Prospero and conferred it to Antonio. This was in return for the homage, the tribute that Antonio had promised to Alonso. Not just this, okay, he has also helped him in other ways. So, with all the honors of my brother, that means he, along with the title, he also bestowed, or he also gave him all the rights and the powers that was associated with this title. Whereon a treacherous army levied one midnight, fated to the purpose, did Antonio open the gates of Milan, and in the dead of darkness, the ministers for the purpose hurried thence, me and thy crying self. And not just that, the king of Milan's in return for his favor, also supplied Antonio with a group of treacherous army, okay, and who helped Antonio through Miranda and Prospero. Okay, and how did they do it, and when did they do it? They did it in the middle of the night. That time Antonio opened the gates. Okay, he opened the gates of Milan, and he made the agents. The agents means the armies who were the army who were assigned the task to do so. He asked them to hurriedly throw Prospero and Miranda out of Milan. Okay, and then he says this was done in a death-like silence when the entire world was sleeping. Okay, it was, and that time the ministers of purpose, that means the ministers of purpose means the agents who had been directed to execute this plan, they did it very quickly, very hurriedly. Antonio just opened the gate, they just grabbed Miranda and Prospero and threw him out of the gate and threw him out of Milan. That time, Miranda was crying a river. That is what it means. Miranda was crying so much. She cried a river. Miranda, I lack for pity. I'm not remembering how I cried out then. We'll cry it over again. It is a hint that rings mine eyes to it. Now she says that I do not remember. Alack, yeah, definitely it calls for pity. I do not remember how I cried or if I cried back then. But your sorrowful story, okay, your sorrowful story does evoke or does fill my eyes with tears, and I feel like crying it all over again, listening to and knowing how I cried when I remember, or when you tell me about all these things. I feel like crying again. Okay, I might have cried then, although that it's faint, it's very faint, the memory is very faint, but still thinking of that, I feel like crying again. Thinking of that means thinking of their sorrowful state. All right, and Prospero, here a little further. You must listen a little more than this. Okay, listen to me a little more. And then I will bring thee to the present business, which now is upon, without the which this story were most impertinent. You have to listen to me a little more, and then I will come to the present subject. Then I will come to the present business. Otherwise, if I just stop it here, then it will have no relation. It will just be baseless. It will be impertinent. It will not make any sense. Okay? That means let me continue and let me complete my story. Let me complete my tale. Okay? And then only we can relate the tale with the present subject. And what is the present subject? The tempest. It is Prospero who raised the tempest. Okay? So, in order to bring a connection between the present situation, the present business, that is the tempest that he has raised, and their past mishappenings or their past incident, Prospero needs to complete the story. Then only he will be able to come to a conclusion. Then only the entire thing, the present situation will make sense to Miranda. Alright? Miranda, wherefore did they not that hour destroy us? She says, but why did they not kill us? They tortured us so much, but why not kill us? So, to which Prospero says, well, demanded wench. Wench is a young girl. My tale provokes that question. It's a good question, and the story that I am narrating it to you, it definitely gives rise to such a sensible question. Okay? And then he says, dear, they durst not. So dear, the love of my people bore me, underline this, nor set a mark so bloody on the business, but with colors fairer painted their foul ends. He says that they could not kill me because there would have been a massacre if they had done that. People would have caused a revolt. My people in the land loved me so much. Okay, so they completely had to mask or disguise. They had to hide their evil plan under a false appearance. Okay, they had to make it look everything okay, make it look everything good. Okay, so under that false appearance, under that outward appearance, what did? They hid their treacherous plan. Okay, they were afraid. They did not have the courage to kill me and you. If they had done that, the people of Milan would have revolted against them, and there would have been bloodsheds. Okay, it would have been a bloodshed. And now he says, in few they hurried us aboard a bark, bore us some leagues to the sea, where they prepared a rotten carcass of a boat, not rid, nor tackle, sail, nor mast. The very rats instinctively have quitted. Now, carcass is a dead body, it's a corpse. He says that they were all prepared, they had all set. Okay, so all did they do? All that they did was they kicked us out of the gate. Okay, they drove us back out of the kingdom. Okay, and they took us somewhere some miles to the sea, over to the sea. Okay, they took us some miles over to the sea, and they put us in a rotten on a rotten boat. All right, they put us just on the carcass, means just the outer body, the outer cover of the boat, just the corpse of the boat. Okay, and the boat did not have sails, it did not have mast, it did not have anchor. It was not well equipped. It was in a bad shape. It was just the body, it was just the corpse, okay, of the boat that they put us in. All right, and what happened was, even, he says, even a rat would instinctively, by its instinct, know that the boat would sink and they would be killed. So even the rats would have fled away from this boat. It was such a rickety boat. Understood? It was a very, the boat was very fragile. It was very weak. Any time it would sink, any time it would drown, or any time it would break. That is what it means. So, there they hoist us to cry to the sea that roared to us, to sigh to the winds whose pity, sighing back again, did us but loving wrong. He says there they put us in the boat so that we would be, so that we would be at the mercy of the sea. They left us at the mercy of the sea. They left us there so that we would drown and we would perish. That is how they wanted to kill us. Alright, and he says that, and it was, they left us so that we would cry, okay, to cry to the sea, and even the cry and the sea, they responded or reciprocated to the emotions. Okay, when Prospero was crying a river, that time even the sea responded to him by roaring. When Prospero sighed, okay, even the wind responded, or even the wind stood by him by sighing even, by sighing even more. So that is what it means. Just us but loving wrong. Okay, that means that is how they wanted to wrong us. That is how I wanted to, that is how they wanted to kill us. This was the reason. I mean, this was the way they wanted to torture us. Okay, because they did not have the courage to kill us. All right, my people loved me so much. There would have been a massacre. There would have been a revolt if they had killed me. So it's like they veiled it, they covered it, and then they threw me out out at the carcass of a boat, so that I would perish and die along with you. So it said that the sea also roared, and then the wind also sighed. This does not mean that they were actually helping or they were actually reciprocating to the emotions. It means that the sea was also very scary, and it was the wind, and so was the wind, and the situation was really grim. That is what it means. Now Miranda, she is touched, she is overwhelmed with emotion, so she says, "Alack, what trouble was I then to you?" It's very important. Now she says that, "How sad I must have been a great trouble to you back then." Okay, just an infant of 3 years old, okay, must have been a source to your trouble. It must have added to your already already sorrowful situation of exile, to the already sorrowful state of your exile, or to the already grim situation. I might just have given you more trouble. Okay, now Prospero, "Oh, a cherubim, thou wast that did preserve me." Underline this, shows that he is a very loving father. All these things you have to mention. So he says that, "No, you were not, oh my dear daughter. You were a gift which is sent from heaven. It was you who saved my life. I would have died if hadn't it been you." So the reason why Prospero does not die is also because he had a daughter. He loved his daughter so much. Otherwise, maybe he would have, given up on life. So he says that it was you who preserved, who saved my life, who saved me from dying. Thou didst smile infused with a fortitude. Your smile, it was as if like the smile which was sent by God, the smile on your face that was there, it helped me to deal with the situation. It gave me fortitude. It gave me the mental and the emotional ability to deal with this my suffering. Okay, it gave me the fortitude from heaven. It must have come from heaven. God must have given it, because two contrasting things. What happened is, someone is crying, father is crying, and then there is a daughter, an infant daughter of 3-year-old who was smiling. It was the smile that gave him a ray of hope. Okay, that gave him the reason to survive. So when I have decked the sea with drops full salt, under my burden groaned, which raised in me an undergoing stomach to bear up against what should ensue. That means when I was crying a river, when I was shedding salty tears and adding the water and adding to the water of the sea, okay, and adding more to the sea water, or when I was being under the burden, when I was crying out, loud, okay, and you gave me the courage to bear, to overcome, okay, anything that happened. I saw you, I looked at you for my courage, okay, I looked at you to overcome my sorrow. Alright, so this means that it also tells us about the necessity of the protagonist to survive. Why was it necessary for him? For his daughter. That is also there. It also tells us, his struggle for survival, how much he had to struggle for survival. It also tells him about Prospero's resilience. That means the ability to come back to his original state after being bent. Okay? It also talks about or tells us about his fortitude. So, see, and it also tells us about Prospero and tells us about Prospero's the role of father that Prospero takes. Okay, how loving Father Prospero is. So he did not see his daughter as a burden, okay, but he got a ray of hope from his daughter's smile. Okay, it gave him the fortitude, it gave him the resilience. Okay, it enabled him to overcome from anything that happened to him. Miranda, how came we ashore? But how did we come here? How did we land upon this island? To which Prospero says, by divine providence. Some food we had and some fresh water that a noble Neapolitan, Gonzalo, out of charity, who being then appointed master of this design means who was appointed to carry out this task, did give us with rich garments, linen, stuffs, and necessaries, which since have steadied much, so of his gentleness, knowing I love my books, he furnished me from mine own library with volumes that I prize over my tutor. Now, we came here by the mercy of God. It was blessing that helped us to come to this island. It was by the help of immortal God that we came to this island. He says that, he says, Gonzalo, who was an old counselor, okay, a loyal counselor to me, he had all, who had all the sympathy for Prospero, when he was expelled, was actually entrusted with the responsibility to take Miranda and Prospero out of Milan. Okay, he was actually given the task to put them out in the ship, in the boat. So what he did was, he did not have any option, because he could not disobey the master who was controlling the dukedom. Okay, he could not go against Antonio. So he did whatever he could do to save Prospero. Okay, so he helped to the utmost possible by giving him garments, his garments, his linens, and all the necessities. That means all the basic necessities that was required for survival. Okay, and food, water. Otherwise, Prospero and Miranda would have starved to death. Okay, and they would not have clothes also. But he gave him everything. But besides this, Gonzalo knew that Prospero was a scholar. Okay, and he was more into reading books. Okay, that is why he sneaked some books from his library and he gave it out to Prospero. And what books are these? These are magic books. It was because of them. Okay, it was because of these things that he had supplied, he had furnished. Okay, Prospero was able to live more comfortably on this island. Okay, because through his magical art, he makes the use of Ariel and he enslaves Ariel and Caliban and other spirits, isn't it? So that is what it means. So it was, hadn't it been Gonzalo, then they would not have survived. So remember that this is important. Gonzalo is a very kind-hearted man. He is a man who is full of sympathy. He is empathetic, and he loves Prospero. Okay, he was always loyal to his former duke Prospero. And now also, he was like, what happened was, he could not help. Okay, he could not disobey the duke who was ruling at Milan at present. So all he did was, he sneaked, and then he brought all the necessities, the basic necessities that was required for human survival. But besides this, also knowing that Prospero's obsession for books, he got the books of his magic. Okay, got his magic books, and then they handed it over to Miranda and handed it over to Prospero so that he would have a good life. Miranda, would I might but ever seen that man. I wish I could see that man someday, Prospero. Now I arise. Now it's time for me to leave. Now I will get up. Sit still. Please, sit still means sit patiently. And now I will tell you just the last story of our distress at sea. Okay, here in this island we arrived, and here have I, thy schoolmaster, have the more profit than other princes can that have more time for vainer hours, and tutors not so careful. Vainer hours refer to empty fun. Okay, he says that. Now listen, this is the last thing I want you to listen. Here, after I came to this island, I have been like your schoolmaster, like your tutor, like your school teacher, or even more than that. Okay, because I am giving you lessons which are more valuable. Okay, the lessons that you are learning are more valuable than the lessons that other princes learn. Understood? Because the tutors of other princes elsewhere, they are less careful about what they are learning, or whether they are utilizing their time properly in learning life skills or learning productive things. Okay, because other kings or other princes spent most of their time in vain pursuits. Okay, in empty pursuits. That means in empty fun which does not have any which does not make any sense. Okay, fun which will never help, which is not going to help. So, but here I have given you all life skills, all knowledge, much more than what other princes get from the schoolmasters, because their schoolmasters are less interested in what they learn. Alright, but since you are also a prince, since you are also one of the princes, okay, since you are also a princess, but your education differs from them, because you are learning much more than what they do. Others are just wasting their time in fancy or in fancy pursuits, okay, but you are getting all valuable life lessons from a schoolmaster who is, or even more than a schoolmaster, okay, and who is he? He is no other than her own father, Prospero. Miranda, heavens thank you for it, and now I pray you, sir, for still it's beating in my mind, your reason for raising the sea storm. Thank you so much for doing all this to me. Thank you for being my schoolmaster and giving me, imparting life skills and such knowledge in me. But Father, I still cannot understand why you have caused the tempest, why you have raised the storm. Okay, she's still unable to understand. This shows that she is very innocent. She is very naive. Okay, even though she has known how much her, the amount of suffering that her father has gone through because of those treacherous people, she sees that, but still I am unable to understand, why have you raised the tempest? Why are you making these people suffer? And Prospero says, "No, thus far forth, by accident most strange, bountiful fortune now, my dear lady, hath mine enemies brought to the shore." Now, yes, when she says that, please tell me the reason, she says, you have every right to know the reason. Okay, I will tell you. You shall know, you can get to know more. Okay, and these are those people, those passengers who are on board the royal ship and who are struggling, are my enemies. Okay, it is fate, it is destiny, it is karma that has brought them in front of my shore. Okay, now fortune or my luck is by my side, destiny is by my side. And now fortune is being personified. It is she is said to be dear lady. Okay, now fortune is by my side, so this is why I am making them, this is why I raise the tempest. And by prescience, I find my genic doth depend upon a most auspicious star, whose influence if I now court not, but omit, my fortunes will ever after droop. I mean, he says that since we know that he was also into astrology, okay, he also did spend time in studying astrology. So astrology deals with stars and then the moon, the calculation, like the distance of the sun and the moon, and so on and so forth. So he says that now I can predict that the strongest star is in my favor. Okay, so when the strongest star is in my favor, I must utilize it. I must utilize the situation. I must make use of this opportunity. When things are at my favor, I must make use of my opportunity. So if I do not do it, I will always diminish. My fortunes will ever after droop. That means I will forever be bent. I will always decline. I will never be able to rise. So I must seek the opportunity, and the opportunity is that I have seen, I can see, I can predict that the stars, the most strongest stars, okay, which can have the strongest influence on somebody's fortune, okay, is there in my favor. Here cease more questions, thou art inclined to sleep. It is a good dullness, and give it way. That means no more questions, now stop it. That was the last thing that I had to explain. Okay, and then now Prospero has cast a magic spell upon his daughter to put her to sleep. Okay, so that he can attend to his other plans. Okay, so now she says that no more question. Now I can see that your eyes are weary. I can see that your eyes are heavy and you want to sleep. Okay, the sleep has already, it's like a good dullness means you are sleepy. Thou art inclined to sleep, it is a good dullness, and give it away. That means you must go and sleep. I know thou canst not choose, and I know that you will not be able to stay away from this sleep, to keep yourself awake. Okay, because it's like, it's good for you, and then it is good for you if you go and sleep, and you cannot help, and you cannot help but sleep. Now to Ariel. Come away, servant, come, I am ready now, approach my Ariel, come. Now he attends to Ariel. Who is Ariel? Ariel is nothing but the spirit of the air. He can take different shape. He can take the shape of the wind, the fire, and the sea, okay, the water, that is the water, and other natural and other he can take the shapes of other natural forces. All right. So he has come, and then he says, enter Ariel. All hail, great master, grave sir, hail. It means greeting, sir, greeting. He greets. Okay. I come to answer thy best pleasure. Beg to fly, to swim, to dive into the fire, to ride on the curled clouds. Means I have come to listen to your order, sir. Okay, and to do what pleases you the best. Whether do I have to fly, whether to fly or whether to swim, or whether to dive into the fire, okay, whether to enter into the fire, or whether to ride on the curled clouds, means, or whether to scatter the clouds. To thy strong bidding task, Ariel and all his quality. That means, may you advise Ariel and all his spirits to perform your task. Okay, he says that, what form you want me to assume, sir? I am ready to carry out any task that you would command me. Okay, not just me, but also put my other spirits to work. So that is it for today. Okay, please go through the video and do reference to the context from your workbook. Okay, and then if there is any problem, please drop it in the comment section below. Thank you so much, guys.